You want to know the secret? It's not money, it's not looks, it's not even confidence, at least not the kind you've been sold. The real secret, the one no one tells men, is this: emotional presence. Say to her, I see you, not just the way the world wants you to be, but the way you are when no one's watching. And mean it. Because women don't fall for words, they fall for how your words make them feel. And when a woman feels seen, safe, and heard, something shifts. It's like you've touched a part of her soul that's been waiting in silence. You don't have to perform, you don't have to fix her, you just have to stand still in your truth and hold space for hers. That's the Stoic secret. Not coldness, not detachment, but inner calm that allows others to feel warm in your presence. You want her to fall for you? Then don't chase her approval, reflect her value. Don't rush her story, witness it with patience. Say this: I'm not here to change you, I'm here to know the real you. And then stay silent long enough to prove it. Because in a world full of men trying to impress her, the one who truly sees her is unforgettable. Emotional presence is the quiet power that separates real connection from superficial attraction. It's not about saying the right thing or having the perfect timing. It's about showing up with your whole self, emotionally available, grounded, and open. When a man practices emotional presence, he offers something rare and deeply desired: safety. Not just physical safety, but emotional safety, the kind that tells a woman, you can be exactly who you are here. I'm not judging, rushing, or fixing you. I'm simply here with you. In today's world, people are starving for genuine connection. There's constant noise, distraction, performance, and pressure to impress. Most men have been taught to chase validation through charm, money, humor, or dominance, but none of that touches the soul the way presence does. Emotional presence is when you're fully with someone, not distracted, not thinking of what to say next, not planning a response, but truly listening, observing, and absorbing what's being shared. This kind of presence isn't loud or flashy. It doesn't demand attention. It invites trust. It says, I'm not going anywhere, even if what you're saying is uncomfortable. Even if you show me your flaws, I can hold that. And for many women, that's rare. To feel like their emotions aren't too much, their silence isn't awkward, their truth isn't a burden, that's what makes them let their guard down. When a man is emotionally present, his energy shifts. He no longer feels the need to convince her of his worth. He's calm because he knows his value, and that calm is contagious. Women sense it. It's in your eyes when you look at her without scanning or judging. It's in the way you hold space during a hard conversation without trying to fix her feelings. It's in your body language when you don't fidget or escape into distractions. You're there with her, not somewhere else in your mind. That stillness makes a woman feel like she matters, like she's not just part of your day, but the focus of it. And the truth is, most women don't fall in love with words or appearances. They fall for how a man makes them feel in his presence. They remember how safe it felt to be themselves around him, how peaceful it was not to perform, how rare it was to be seen without having to ask for it. Emotional presence is what allows vulnerability to emerge. It's what turns casual conversations into meaningful moments. It's what makes a woman say later, I don't know what it was about him, but I just felt calm around him. I felt understood. And that feeling, that's what makes her fall. Not because of manipulation, not because you said the magic line, but because you offered something her soul was craving, the chance to be real and still be loved in that realness. That's the power of presence. It doesn't chase, it invites. And when it's real, it doesn't need to speak loudly. It speaks straight to the heart. Using deep, intentional language is not about being poetic or overly clever. It's about speaking in a way that resonates beneath the surface. It's the difference between a compliment that flatters and a truth that disarms. When you speak with intention, you speak from a place of awareness, empathy, and clarity. Your words are no longer just sounds meant to impress. They become vessels of meaning, carrying emotional weight and authenticity. And that's what makes them unforgettable. Most conversations are filled with noise, surface-level remarks, generic compliments, scripted responses. But when you speak with depth, you break through that noise. You create a pause, a stillness, a moment where the person in front of you feels truly acknowledged. Imagine telling a woman you have a calming presence that feels like home instead of simply saying, "You're beautiful." One is ordinary, the other invites her to feel something. It touches a deeper layer of her identity. That's the power of intentional language. It creates connection instead of reaction. Words become powerful when they are rooted in genuine observation. You're not saying things just to get a reaction. You're noticing what's real and then choosing to express that truth in a way that honors both you and the person you're speaking to. That requires vulnerability. It takes awareness. You have to pay attention, not just to what she's saying, but how she's saying it. Not just how she looks, but how she moves through the world. And when you notice with presence, your words naturally carry intention. Intentional language also means choosing words that carry weight rather than defaulting to empty phrases. It's the difference between "I like spending time with you" and "when I'm with you, everything feels lighter." It's the difference between "you're smart" and the way your mind works. It challenges me to think in new ways. It's these kinds of words that make someone feel like you're truly tuned in. They feel special, not because of what you said, but because of how deeply you've paid attention. You don't need a wide vocabulary to speak with depth. You need sincerity. Your tone matters just as much as your choice of words. A quiet truth spoken gently will always be more impactful than a loud statement with no soul. Sometimes it's even in the pauses you take. Silence between two people who are emotionally aware can say more than 1,000 empty compliments. Intentional language doesn't mean speaking more. It means speaking better. Fewer words, more truth. Less noise, more presence. When you say something, mean it. Let it reflect who you are and what you truly feel. Because when your words carry emotional precision, they don't just sound good, they land, they stay, they echo long after the conversation ends. And that's the kind of language that builds trust. That kind of language is rare. That's the kind of language women remember, not because it was perfect, but because it was real. Be a mirror, not a savior. It's a truth that can change how you relate to women and to people in general. When you try to save someone, you put yourself above them. You see their pain, their struggle, or their confusion, and you jump into fix-it mode. Your intentions might be good, but the message behind that effort is this: you need me to be okay. And that message, though subtle, takes away their power. It says they are not enough as they are, that they are broken, and you are the solution. But that's not love. That's ego wrapped in compassion. To be a mirror is something else entirely. A mirror doesn't fix you, it reflects you clearly, calmly, honestly. When you're a mirror to a woman, you offer her the gift of being truly seen, not judged. You're not rushing to solve her problems. You're not trying to rewrite her story. You're simply present enough to hold up the emotional truth of the moment so she can see herself more clearly through your calm awareness. That's what makes her feel safe. That's what makes her trust you. Many men believe that to win a woman's heart, they need to rescue her. But women are not looking for heroes. They are looking for witnesses, someone who sees their whole self, the strong parts, the vulnerable parts, the hidden parts, and doesn't flinch. When a woman tells you her fears, her pain, or her past, she's not necessarily asking you to fix anything. She's asking, can you hold space for this? Can you handle all of me? And when your instinct is to listen, not to solve, you're answering, yes, I can. Being a mirror requires patience. It demands that you silence your need to be right or to be useful. It requires emotional discipline. Because the truth is, most people don't want solutions. They want to feel seen in their experience. If you always jump to advice, you miss the opportunity to connect. You become just another voice telling them what to do instead of being the calm presence they can lean on. When you're a mirror, you're saying, I trust you to figure this out, and I'm right here beside you while you do. That's powerful. powerful, that builds respect. That's what allows real intimacy to grow, when someone knows they can come to you not for answers but for clarity, because your presence reflects back their strength, not their weakness. This doesn't mean you never help, it means you help differently, not by controlling or correcting, but by believing in her ability to grow through what she's going through. You offer her a reflection of herself she might not yet believe in. You show her her own wisdom, her own courage, her own worth, without taking credit for any of it. And that's the kind of man a woman remembers. Not the one who tried to save her, but the one who helped her see that she never needed saving. The Stoic secret is not about being emotionless. It's not about shutting down or pretending nothing affects you. True Stoicism is about inner calm and unshakable steadiness that allows you to face life with clarity, strength, and grace. It's about mastering your response to what happens around you rather than trying to control everything that happens. That calmness becomes your anchor, especially in relationships where emotions can run high and unpredictability is part of the experience. When a man carries inner calm, he becomes a safe place, not because he always has the answers, but because his energy doesn't add to the chaos. He listens instead of reacting, he pauses instead of exploding, he chooses understanding over impulse. That level of emotional control doesn't make him cold, it makes him powerful in the most grounded way. It sends a message, no matter what happens, I'm not going to fall apart. That's incredibly attractive to women, not because they want someone robotic, but because they want someone stable. Inner calm doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've learned to sit with your feelings without letting them rule you. You've learned to observe your thoughts, your fears, your anger, and your doubts without becoming them. That kind of mastery shows up in your body language, your tone of voice, your presence. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop chasing validation. You simply are. And that self-assured stillness makes you magnetic. Women are intuitive. They can feel your inner state. If you're anxious, even if you're smiling, they'll sense it. If you're insecure, even if you say all the right things, they'll feel it in your energy. But if you are calm, truly grounded, they'll feel safe without even knowing why. They'll lean in, not because you're performing, but because your stillness invites them to relax, to let go, to be themselves. That's what Stoicism offers. Not detachment, but discipline. You're not shutting out emotion. You're choosing which ones to feed. You don't raise your voice just because something bothers you. You don't spiral into doubt because someone else is upset. You observe, you breathe, you respond with clarity, not chaos. And that kind of self-mastery creates peace, not just for you, but for everyone around you. A calm man creates space for others to unfold. His presence doesn't demand attention. It commands it quietly. He doesn't need to dominate the room. His peace draws people in. When conflict arises, he doesn't panic. When someone shares their pain, he doesn't interrupt. He listens, he absorbs, he reflects, because he knows who he is, and that certainty makes others feel certain around him. The Stoic secret isn't about suppressing your humanity. It's about owning it without being owned by it. That calm at your core is your power. It's the strength that doesn't shout. It's the peace that doesn't shake. And it's the presence that makes others feel more at home in themselves just by being around you. Reflecting a woman's worth instead of seeking her approval is one of the most powerful shifts a man can make, not just in how he relates to women, but in how he relates to himself. When you seek approval, your energy is focused on being accepted, validated, or chosen. You say what you think she wants to hear, you adjust who you are to match what you assume she likes. And even if she does respond positively, it never feels real, because deep down you know it wasn't you that she responded to, but the version of you you thought she wanted. But when you reflect her worth, everything changes. You're no longer trying to earn her attention. You're standing in your own value and offering something greater, a mirror that shows her who she really is, not the version the world sees, not the version she tries to be, but the version that is enough right here and now. You look at her and you say, not just with words, but with your energy, you don't have to be anything else to be worthy. That kind of presence is rare. Most people, especially in today's attention-hungry world, are used to being pursued for shallow reasons. physical attraction, social status, a desire to fill emotional voids. But when a man truly sees a woman's essence and reflects it back to her with quiet strength and sincerity, she feels something deeper. She doesn't just feel desired, she feels valued. That's when trust begins. That's when attraction moves beyond surface level and touches the heart. Reflecting her worth doesn't mean putting her on a pedestal. It means seeing her clearly, acknowledging her strengths, her resilience, her complexity, without expecting anything in return. You're not doing it to get her to like you. You're doing it because you recognize beauty when you see it. Not just external beauty, but the beauty of character, effort, growth, and vulnerability. And when you reflect that, it inspires her to rise into her best self. Not because she feels pressure, but because she feels safe and seen. You don't need to try so hard when you know your own value. That's the irony. When you stop trying to win approval and start offering recognition, you naturally become more attractive. You lead with substance, not strategy. You bring depth into the interaction, and that depth creates a lasting impression. People don't remember compliments, they remember how you made them feel. If your presence reminds a woman of her worth, she will never forget you. It's not about perfect words. It's about the intention behind them. It's about seeing what's real in someone and giving it back to them through your presence. When you do that, you become more than just another man seeking attention. You become someone who helps others see their own light. And in a world that's constantly trying to dim it, that kind of man stands out, not for what he says, but for what he reflects. Authentic silence speaks loudly, not through noise or effort, but through presence and power. In a world addicted to constant communication, where people rush to fill every pause with words, true silence becomes rare and magnetic. It's not the silence of awkwardness or withholding, but the silence of someone who's fully grounded and doesn't feel the need to prove, explain, or perform. It's the kind of silence that says, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm not afraid of stillness. And that silence can say more about you than any well-rehearsed line ever could. When you can sit with a woman in silence without anxiety, you are showing her something deeper than charm. You're showing her self-mastery. You're showing her that you don't need to fill the space to be comfortable. You're showing her that you're not here to impress, but to be real. That quiet confidence creates a subtle tension, an emotional intimacy that builds not from what is said, but from what is felt. She senses that you are not afraid of depth, not running from vulnerability, not covering discomfort with jokes or noise. Most people speak from nervousness, not presence. They talk to manage the moment, to protect themselves from being truly seen. But when you're silent and grounded, your energy speaks. Your eyes, your body language, your calm presence, they all say, I'm not rushing, I'm not hiding, I'm not pretending. That level of authenticity allows the other person to drop their own defenses. It invites truth, it creates trust. Authentic silence is especially powerful in emotionally charged moments. When a woman opens up, when she shares something vulnerable, most men respond too quickly, trying to fix, advise, or change the topic. But a man who knows the power of silence lets the moment breathe. He allows her words to land, to linger. He gives her space to feel without interruption. That simple act of not rushing in makes her feel safe. It shows respect, it shows maturity, and it shows that you're strong enough to hold what she's carrying without needing to control it. Even in attraction, silence can be a language of its own. A moment of eye contact held without urgency, a shared breath between two people who don't need to say anything to feel everything. Those moments become unforgettable, not because of what was said, but because of what was understood. Silence becomes the space where hearts speak, where connection grows without pressure. Being comfortable in silence means you are connected to yourself. You're not looking for the other person to complete you or make you feel valuable. You bring your own peace into the space. And when that happens, your presence becomes healing. You become the rare person who doesn't demand attention, but who receives it naturally, because your stillness is so real, so refreshing, that it draws people in. In a world full of noise, a man who can sit in silence authentically, confidently is not just attractive, he's unforgettable, because his silence doesn't feel empty, it feels full of truth, presence, and strength. So what do you say to a woman that makes her truly fall for you? You don't say what you think she wants to hear. clear. You don't perform, impress, or chase. You speak with depth. You see her clearly. You listen with presence. You become the man who doesn't need to be loud to be heard or perfect to be loved. You become the man whose calm, grounded presence says everything without trying. Because the real secret, it's not about having the right lines. It's about being the right energy. A man who reflects her worth, not one who begs for her approval. A man who speaks less but with intention. A man who doesn't try to save her but simply holds space for her to be fully herself. In the end, it's not what you say, it's who you are when you say it. That's what reaches her. That's what stays with her. And that's what makes her fall, not for the words, but for the man behind them. Let your silence speak. Let your presence be the loudest message in the room. That's the Stoic secret most men never learn. But now you know.